evening everyone, it's Phil. Sorry I've not been around for a while, but I'm back with you now and I've got a couple more videos on the way. Today's topic is to do with something beautiful. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, they say. So what do you find beautiful? For me it's things like the star nebulas thousands of light years away. They're beautiful. Something like a structure of a seashell is beautiful. But often beauty is associated also with poise and grace. And for example, a slow motion of a raindrop is beautiful. And with my love of flight, here is something that I hope you, like me, will find very beautiful. That was a human-powered aircraft called Skycycling, and I hope you found it as awesome and beautiful as I did. So today we're looking at human-powered aircraft, and the first authenticated flight of a human-powered aircraft was at Lasham Airfield in Hampshire back in November 1961, and it was called Sumpac, and it was an effort from the Southampton University team, and that was the sort of first proper takeoff, flight and landing under control. Then the next sort of milestone in human-powered flight was when Paul McCready from America came along, who was a world glider champion and a hang glider champion, and he created a human-powered aircraft, very lightweight one called Gossamer Condor, and that was in order to try and claim a £50,000 Kremer prize by flying a figure of 8, which they did in 1977. And he followed that in 1979 by flying the Channel with Gossamer Albatross. And that got a lot of publicity and raised the profile of human-powered flight. You may remember it if you're old as I am, and it was in all the newspapers. What most people don't realise is that human-powered flight went on from that, and in fact the longest and best and the most amazing flight was in an aeroplane called Daedalus, and it flew in 1988 from Crete to Santorini, which is 72 miles and nearly 4 hours of pedalling, which is the equivalent to 2 back-to-back marathons. That was an incredible achievement, and it was supposedly recreating the flight of the mythical Daedalus. And after the whole flight, the aeroplane got within 7 meters of the shore, and one of the wings went over the edge of the sand of the beach, and the heat coming off the beach caused the aeroplane to turn, and the aeroplane broke up in mid-air just above the beach, and the fuselage landed 7 meters into the water after a 72-mile flight. But that was really the peak of human-powered flight achievement. Since then, human-powered flight has still been going on. People are still flying, but it's much more sort of behind the scenes, not so much in the public eye. But I was lucky enough to go last year in July 2019 to Lasham Airfield, which is where it all began, for the national championships for human-powered aircraft. And this is what it was like. So human-powered aircraft are a fantastic example of man's ingenuity. And why is that? That's because they have to be very lightweight and very fragile. And that's because the average human, or a fit human, has an output of around 400 watts, which is about half a horsepower, which, if an average light aircraft has an engine of 100 horsepower, that's 200 times as much. So the weight of a human-powered aircraft is only around about 30 kilograms, but it has the wingspan of a Boeing 737, around 35 meters. The difference is the 747 weighs 42,000 kilos, around 1,400 times more than the human-powered aircraft. And that means that because they're so fragile, they have to be flown in the calmest of conditions in the dawn or the dusk. So anyone going to spectate has to set the alarm clock for 3 in the morning. So the first clip I'm going to show you is the first flight as the sun came up at dawn. It was a great flight, and I watched from my bicycle, and I realized I had to get out of the way pretty quick. So sorry about the footage in the middle here. So this next flight was one of the best of the week, and they achieved a 180-degree turn and landed back on the runway. But I'll stay quiet and let you just enjoy some of the atmosphere of the event. And you can hear that beautiful sound as the propeller slowly turns over.
I was saying it's going to come straight over the top of this. Always has to do one better.
Because you wouldn't give out the cat.
What's the max height of it?
They go much higher than that.
They do.
Yeah.
Did you ask them to 5 metres or something?
Yeah.
Also,
There's actually very little ground effect on this plane because we're so slow.
I suppose the good news is that if it's near the ground, you can get on the ground before you break.
That's the point.
Yeah, he's putting it down, I think. Excellent. Okay.
This clip shows you how hard flying these aeroplanes is. The pilot here is somewhat older and I think heavier than all the other pilots that I saw flying, who all look, to be honest, like young marathon runners without an ounce of fat on them. Anyway, you can see just how hard it is if you're not as fit or as light as the younger guys. It is to get off the ground and sustain flight. But he did, and he got a nice flight most of the way down the runway. So I hope that's given you a look at a world that you've probably never come across before. It's a bit of a fringe sport, but it's just I think the aeroplanes are so beautiful, and in flight they just have a majesty, and I just think they're wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed it. This book here is by far the best book on human-powered flight. It's called Gossamer Odyssey, and it's about the two Gossamer flights. The first one, Gossamer Condor, and then Gossamer Albatross over the Channel. And it's a brilliant read. It's a great book in its own right. And I would recommend it to anyone, not just those interested in flight. It is a really good, fun book to read. Anyway, I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you next time on Phil's Fun for Fogies. Stay safe.